Committee order. It is 2:31 p.m. Aaron, can you roll call?
Of course, Jamie Acton.
Here.
Brian Lindemuth. Brad Coy.
Here.
Todd Van Hoek. Steve Rebuffo.
Here.
Yemi Alimi.
Present.
Luke Boland.
Here.
Melinda Kohlhaas.
Here.
Steve Rafuse.
Here.
And then we have Matt Stitchick online.
Correct.
And Christine Bennell for Craig Lyon online.
I'm here.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Aaron, could you also do the public involvement announcement, please?
Of course, AMET's committee meetings are open to the public, and the public is provided an opportunity to comment at each meeting. Business items are first presented by staff or a consultant. After the committee discusses the business item, the public is invited to formally comment. Each participant will have 3 minutes to speak on their topic. A couple of housekeeping items. If you're joining us virtually and you're not a member of the committee, please turn your camera off when you're not speaking on an item. If you're joining us by phone, to mute and unmute the microphone, press *6. And please make sure to identify yourself if you are speaking. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. And let the record show that Tarzan has arrived at 2:32. The next item on the agenda is to do the approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Are there any objections? Go ahead. Motion on the drawer. Okay. That's right.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay, perfect. Moved by Ms. Acton, seconded by Mr. Bowman. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Are there any objections to approving the agenda? Okay, hearing none, agenda is approved. Next item are the minutes. Do we have a motion for approving the March 9th, 2023 minutes? Move to approve. Second. Okay, moved by Mr. Alimi, seconded by Mr. Rebuffo. Do we have any changes to the minutes? Okay, I did have 2 changes. One that it started at 2:32 p.m. And then another one on page 6, there, towards the end of page 6, just a slight revision to what my comment was on that page. I went back and watched it, and it was I wasn't quite as clear, so realized that I need to talk a little bit more clearly to the recording. But what I'd like it to say is Chair Coy commented that he had also wondered where the project was for a little while, but now felt like everything is moving forward. Because between when we passed this and now, he could see that there has been quite a bit of action. Also, from a technical perspective, he is in agreement with the comments that have been expressed. And I provided those in writing as well. So those are my changes to the minutes. Are there any other requested changes? To be able to include those changes in the motion, do they need to be friendly amendment or anything, or?
Motions.
How again?
It's fine, because you have a motion on the table, so you made some recommended changes, so now you just need to ask for approval or any objections to approving it with the changes.
Okay. Are there any objections to approving the minutes as recommended for changes? Okay, hearing none, the minutes are approved. Moving on to agenda item 5A, the Unified Planning Work Program Narrative, or otherwise known as the UPWP. Aaron, are you going to be?
Yes, I will be presenting on this for everyone. So just as a quick heads up on what the UPWP is, the UPWP is the Unified Planning Work Program. It is federally required that AMATS has this work program. It outlines all of staff time that's going to be spent allocated by tasks over the next 2 years. So as you go through, you see, okay, staff's going to be working on the TIP, the MTP, or the safety plan, or other things like that. You can see that in the narrative here. Well, Couple of changes from this version versus like previous ones that have come before. Most of the tasks are pretty much the same because they're all pretty basic, what we have to do every time. There are two new that I want to draw your attention to. 170 is a performance measures task. So as you know, we do have federally required performance measures that we have to take action on yearly for the safety ones, and then every 4 years for the other ones. By and large, we're supporting the state in their performance measures effort, or transit in their performance measures effort. But it's nice for us to have a specific task in the UPWP for when we work on those particular ones. In addition, the 2050 MTP is going to be recommending a number of additional performance measures that staff may be working on in the near term. So we wanted to have a task outlined in the UPWP. And one of the things you'll see is that working on a dashboard for our performance measures so we can provide that information to the public. So we're working in-house with the GDIC, the GIS group at the Muni of Anchorage on getting a dashboard up and running. The next task that's new is 212. It's the climate action task. So you may know that we are starting a climate action plan soon. Once the TIP amendment number 1 is approved. So this task will cover that work by staff to develop that climate action plan, as well as any additional work on implementing the climate action plan. As you know, climate action is a big thing that FHWA is pushing states and municipality or MPOs to work on, focus on, and incorporate into their process. So we are making that move right now. There is one other change that I forgot to do, so I will ask that you look at possibly making that edit before it goes to the policy committee. Tasks 532 and 534. 532 is public involvement and outreach, and 534 is website and social media. We're recommending combining those into one task under 532, public involvement and outreach. Social website and social media is for public involvement for all intents and purposes and outreach, so it makes sense for us to have one task under there instead of two. It helps us with kind of culling down the kind of large number of tasks we have in our UPWP. It makes it a little easier for us to track some of this information. So my recommendation is to combine those into one task under 532. So just take the 534 bullets that are there and just move them into the 532 and make it one. So what's going on with this? This is being asked to go out for a 30-day public comment period. It's required in our public participation plan that the narrative, the document before you, goes out for a 30-day public comment period. The budget is going through the assembly process. So once that's done, once the public comment period is done, we will bring both back to you for final approval, hopefully in June, and then we'll seek final approval from DOT and FHWA in July. The reason we're moving so quickly under this one and maybe a little earlier than we normally do, we are switching to a 2-year budget versus a 1-year that we used to do, and we're switching from calendar year to federal fiscal year. So trying to make sure we have everything in place before the end of this current fiscal year, which ends September 30th of 23. So we're doing it early. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. One question I had as I was looking through is some of the tasks are in green and some are in black. Are those links in the PDF?
Yeah, some of them are going to be linked so you can easily go there. So the ones that are in green are like the overarching element one that you can go to, that you can look at. And then some of the ones that are within the subtask there have an actual link to take you to like an external website or a different portion of the document. So for example, the traffic data or the traffic and transport data has an external link that goes to the Muni's traffic portal, basically, the website, sorry.
Okay, perfect, thanks. Are there any questions or comments from the committee on this item? Go ahead, Mr. Van Hook.
Yeah, so this is for Aaron. So you're recommending the combination of those two tasks. Is your recommendation to do that prior to the recommendation to the policy committee, or?
To do it as part of sending it to the policy committee. So making that, recommended that those are combined while you're forwarding it to the policy committee.
So when they see it, they will be combined.
Yes, correct.
Okay, other questions? Do we have any questions or comments from the public? So we've got a great public here today. Thank you everyone for coming. I guess this wasn't the item that she wants to talk about. I don't see any from the public. What is the will of the committee?
Do you want a motion first to combine those two?
I think we make the motion, it could be a combined motion.
We should make the motion to send it to the policy committee for a 30-day, whatever your recommendation is, and then do an amendment to that motion to keep it clean, please.
So I move to approve and send to the policy.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Buffalo and seconded by Mr. Van Hoek to forward the draft 2024-2025 Unified Planning Work Program narrative to the policy committee for 30 days public comment period release. Are there any amendments to that motion?
Move to recommend the edits to combine the two tasks in the 500 element into one public involvement task.
Moving 534 into 532.
Yes.
Okay, moved by Ms. Acton,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Buffalo. Any comments on that item? Okay, do we have any objections to that amendment? Hearing no objections, the amendment passes. Moving back to the main item, main motion on the floor. Any questions or comments regarding that motion? Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved to forward this on to the policy committee as amended. Moving on to the next item on our agenda, item 5B, BPAC nomination. Before we do, let the record show that Mr. Lindemood arrived at 2:43 p.m. That's all right. Got a full group now. I was kind of lonely because neither of you were here right at the start, and I was wondering. So
We do actually have a full committee for the first time in a long time, thanks to Mr. Rafuse joining the group.
yeah,
So-
that's right. It is. It's the first time Mr. Rafus is up here on the dais with us. So welcome. I should have welcomed you at the beginning. But it's great to have you, Steve. Okay, so now moving on to item 5B, BPAC nomination.
It'll actually be Joni Will taking
Yes,
this.
thinking so. Take it away, Jenny.
All right, thanks, Fred. So item 5B, we have a request to the committee to review and recommend to the policy committee approval of this new BPAC appointment. So John Miller was a longstanding BPAC committee member for 6 years, and he decided he didn't have time anymore. So first of all, thank you to John for his service as a great member for so many years. And we were trying to replace him with another Anchorage School District representative. So we found Monica Ratliff, and I will just read briefly, just for the public, what the BPAC does. And then I'll read Monica's bio, and then we'll put it up for a vote. So first of all, the AMATS Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee is a citizens forum for bicycle and pedestrian issues affecting the AMATS area. The group serves to make recommendations about bicycle and pedestrian planning issues to the AMATS Technical Advisory Committee. Members of this committee serve rotating 3-year terms, and committee bylaws limit members to 2 consecutive terms. So Monica Ratliff is the person up in front of you. I don't know if she's on the phone, but she might be. Oh, she is. Great. So she could answer any questions for you after this. But Monica Ratliff spent her elementary years on the Aleutian Peninsula before moving to the big city of Anchorage. After graduating from Bartlett High School, Monica attended Wayland Baptist University, where she received her Bachelor of Science in Occupational Education and Human Services and Associates of Applied Science in Psychological Studies. That's a mouthful. Monica worked for several social services agencies in Anchorage, particularly working with teenagers to help them gain skills to facilitate a more successful transition to adulthood. For the last 5 years, Monica has been the 21st Century Coordinator at Fairview Elementary School, working with students to help bridge learning gaps and provide academic and enrichment opportunities they may not otherwise receive. Monica's husband also works for the Anchorage School District, and their 3 children currently attend ASD schools. They also have 7 foster children who went to the ASD school system and are now grown and out of the house. The Ratliff family loves utilizing the trail systems to bike and walk together, and they can regularly be found enjoying the plethora of outdoor activities that Anchorage area has to offer. And as I stated before, Ms. Ratliff will be replacing John Miller's seat, who served for 6 years. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. Are there any questions or comments from the committee? Okay, are there any comments from the public? And with Ms. Ratliff online, could we have her just say a few words?
If you want to.
If you're open to it, it'd be great to hear from you, Monica.
Hi. You pretty much said it all, but yeah, I reached out to get when there was no busing for our students. I reached out to find out about some safety resources we might have for our kids, and that's how I started getting involved with this in the first place. So yeah, thank you.
Awesome. It's great to have you. Glad that you're throwing your name in the hat and going to be helping out with our bicycle pedestrian needs. Are there any other questions or comments from the public? Okay, are there any online? Okay. What is the will of the committee?
Move to approve the recommendation. This is Bradley to the policy committee.
Okay, moved by Mr. Leamy. Second by Mr. Boland. Are there any objections to approving the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved to forward the recommendation of Monica Ratliff to the BPAC, or to the policy committee for approval of the BPAC. Okay. Looks like that gets us through our 2 action items. Next on our agenda are the project and plan updates. 6A is the Mountain Air Drive update. So it looks like we're gonna have a presentation.
Yes, so the next 2 will be presentations. I think the next 4 will be in some way, shape, or form if you guys want to readjust to watch, but it'll be up there. And the project team is here from DOT.
We'll just stay next to that. Hi, I am Alex Reed. I'm a project manager with DOT. Today we're going to be presenting the AMATS Drive, or I'm sorry, the AMATS Mountain Air Drive extension. Next slide. We're going to go do introductions for our project team. We'll go through the current status of the project and then take any questions that you have. Next slide. On our project team with DOT, again, I am the project manager, Alex Reed. With me is Aaron Hunting as the project engineer. Our lead designer is Tija Peterson, who's actually here. This road is maintained and owned by the municipality of Anchorage. They're partners in the project. Todd Jacobson is the project manager. Also on our team is HDL providing support services and Huddle providing public involvement services. Aaron's going to take you through the project status and everything going on.
Yeah, like Alex said, I'm Aaron Hunting, the project engineer for DOT. So the general overview of the project is to extend Mountain Air Drive from Rabbit Creek Road down south to Sandpiper Drive. It's listed as a short-term priority in the AMATs or municipalities, Metropolitan Transportation Plan. And the main purpose of the project, of course, is provide emergency access and access for undeveloped lands in those areas. Also, improve non-motorized facilities, and that's in accordance with the English Pipeline facilities. So the first thing we looked at was the route selection. How do we go back up? There's two sections of road of Mountaineer Drive that are existing, and we're looking to connect those. So a north segment, so a short segment that connects into Bear Valley Elementary, and then from Sandpiper Drive north, there's a small segment that ends at around the cul-de-sac there. So the point is to connect those two segments of road. Looked at a couple different criteria there. You can see looked at Route A, which is, I don't know if you can kind of see it on the screen. Route B is kind of jogs east and then back up and around. And then Route C jogs the furthest east, north, comes back on the north side of Bear Valley Elementary. Based on those criteria, Route A was selected. It's the shortest path, provides the shortest time for emergency vehicles and all that. Has the lowest maintenance cost. It only has to cross Rabbit Creek once, so it'll be a bridge or a large culvert there. And of course, because the shortest lane, the lowest construction cost. Next slide, please. So quick project summary of what the work's going to include. Connection of a new roadway between those two segments to collector standards. The non-motorized pathway and the pathway up on the east side. I'll show you a typical section in a minute. Drainage improvements, culvert stitches, and then of course crossing over Little Rabbit Creek, which will either be a bridge or a large culvert. That will be figured out further in design. We anticipate maybe some minor intersection improvements at Rabbit Creek Road, nothing major though. We do anticipate right-of-way acquisitions, and then the normal roadside hardware signs. It's very safe improvements there, potentially for a road. We do anticipate a little bit of utility relocations. There's not a whole lot up there though. Some, and then we're clearing grubbing to construct a new road there. So our typical section is according to the Muni Design Criteria Manual. So two 10-foot lanes in each direction, or sorry, one 10-foot lane in each direction, 4-foot shoulders on each side. Pathway, of course, on the east side with a 7-foot buffer. All those dimensions are basically right out of the east and this one. Yes. So where we're at right now on the schedule, we're almost through the environmental document phase and preliminary design. That'll be finished up this year. And final design and right-of-way acquisition and utility agreements will be the next couple of years. We anticipate 2027 to start construction. Of course, that's depending on available funding. Next slide. So what we've completed so far and what is ongoing right now. So on the environmental side, wetland delineation, even a survey, the cultural resource assessment and report, all that stuff is complete. And actually the finding letter should be really soon here. Did some traffic counts and intersection analysis. That that's complete, and a traffic analysis of the report that's complete. Also the concept report for the CSS process is complete. It's completed in 2022. Route selection reports complete. Design criteria is ongoing. And that's tied into a preliminary design, of course, working on that. Environmental document, like I said, is usually quickly, or will be finished soon, and then a preliminary design report, that's in development. That's for the part of the CS, the context sensitive solution process. Next slide.
So we've already kicked off our public involvement. We have presented to community councils multiple times, both Bear Valley and Rapid Creek, and we'll continue that as the project progresses. We have done a virtual meeting back in 2021. We submitted our concept report to planning and zoning, and we presented at the Anchorage Transportation Fair this year. Upcoming, of course, this meeting that we're presenting at today, we will also be presenting at the Policy Committee meeting on April 27th. And then we have an open house this month as well on April 25th. That will be at Golden View Middle School. It's a great opportunity to come in and meet the team and ask questions. And that is from 5 to 7. And then as the project progresses, we will also be presenting our preliminary design report to the Planning and Zoning Committee in July, and multiple open houses as the project progresses as well. Slide. If you have any questions or concerns, comments, feedback, you can send them to me at alex.reed@alaska.gov. You can also go to our project website. This PowerPoint overview of the project, and a lot of details are there. And you can also sign up for our mailing list. And with that, do we have any questions?
I have some questions.
Go ahead.
I'm just curious, for land acquisition or right-of-way acquisition, what are some of the land ownership types? Is it private property, or is it park land, or?
There is existing right of way for a portion of it, and then it'll be going through private property. And there will be acquisitions for that.
And then what type of comments have you heard from the public outreach, or is it vastly supportive for the project, or?
Yes. Lots of support for the pathway because the school is there.
Yeah.
People appreciate the connection coming in. There has been quite a few comments kind of on Rabbit Creek Road there, but that would be a different project to be able to do improvements there. That's some big feedback that we've gotten.
We've had a couple of minor questions about environmental impacts. We had a couple in the community councils about fire breaks, and designing fire breaks. The big one is the school and the backup that we see there. We actually met with the school yesterday. We've had some comments about, other additional pedestrian facilities. But overall, there seems to be pretty good support. Several landowners, they would be mostly handful of landowners. Working with them when that time comes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just always an interesting project when it's a brand new road, and then it opens up other opportunities, of course, emergency access, but recreational use as well, crossing the river and getting to see more of the just natural environment. It's pretty attractive opportunity. I guess my last question is lighting. What type of lighting is proposed, continuous or?
That is something that is yet to be determined. I think by municipality standards, the only lighting that's required would be intersection. lighting. Which right now there's an existing light at Rabbit Creek at that intersection. The ASD has expressed the desire for continuous lighting, but a lot of that's going to be up to the municipality and what they want to put in there. The other concern would be who's maintaining the lighting, as you know, that's outside of the municipality's area. And
It's the South Golden View Rural Road Service.
whether they're able to take on that cost to be a consideration as well. But something we're considering.
Because it is a longer pole. All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Any questions from the public?
I can make a comment.
Sure.
There are only
Just state
two
your
private
name.
property owners involved in any of that property. The muni owns one side of it, place for the school, the fire station, all of that belongs to the muni. In the past, they projected taking significant property from the private property owners, and the private property owners objected to that. And there is a right-of-way already. There's a platted road already, and it's not quite the route that they're talking about right here. The egress and access are vitally needed out there. If they go this agent, it's not going to do a thing for their valley, because people are still going to be stuck up there. They're still not going to have a future projected connection to Jamie, which would get some of those folks out. So I think it's something to be considered that way. In prior research, the difference in the length of the road, we were told, was negligible between the A and the B routes. The C route, we were told, went through significant wetlands, and that was true, you know, because it went around behind Bear Valley School to go back out on Middle Creek. And you asked about lighting, and I'm not an expert in that, but I do know that the Hillside District Plan advocates for dark skies out there. And so usually lighting at the intersections is done, but there's not a whole lot of it. If the bridge is built where they're talking about it, it's going to span a pretty deep canyon. And there is another alternative that could cross the two small little forks of Rabbit Creek. And I'm not a bridge constructor or anything like that, but we were told that they could possibly be done with culvert type construction rather than a span. So yeah, there's some controversy. There sure is. And whether Golden View Rural Road Service area is able to take it over exactly right, you know, to fulfill the requirements of what a road service area can do. And that one is a rural road service area, not a limited road service area. So there's difference. So there's things to consider yet. There's still some work to be done.
Okay, thank you for your comment.
Can you state your name for the record, please?
My name is Judith Michael,
Thank you.
and this is my husband David, and we own the property on one side of that road.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming and for your comments.
Oh, and we're interested.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And let me say one other thing. We are not now, and never have been, against having this road built. It's needed. It's badly needed out there in South Anchorage. So that has nothing to do with any of my comments that way. We're not ones that don't want any change or don't want anything like that. Change is necessary. And the hillside is growing and it needs this access. It does.
Thank you for your comments. Any other questions? Comments? Okay, thank you so much, Alex and Aaron, for your presentation. We will move on to the next presentation, 6B, Safer Seward Highway presentation.
Shannon McCarthy might speak first and then others after her.
Okay. Sounds good.
Good afternoon. My name is Shannon McCarthy. I am with the Department of Transportation. I serve as the Communication Director for the Commissioner. I'm actually here today, though, as part of the Safer Seward Highway team, which is the project that is focused on improving all the way from Rabbit Creek to Bird Flats, Malcolm's 118 to 98. And it's a team that's actually it's a statewide team, and it's both DOT employees and consultants that are working on it. And I just before Chris, I just wanted to mention that we are at the very beginning part of the project. So this is really much more of an introduction than to get into the nitty gritty of what we've selected or what we're proposing, because we're not there yet. So with that, I will introduce Chris Hughes. He is our lead with HDR, and he will take it from there.
Thank you. Yeah, like Alex had stated, they were at the end of their environmental document phase. If you think of that timeline, we're at the very beginning of our environmental document phase for this project. So kind of put that in context. I guess we can go to the next slide. The purpose of this, I have about 7 slides, so I'll make it pretty quick. It's kind of to do an introductory to the stakeholders. We've been doing this to a lot of the stakeholders in the area. We'll do a little bit of history, kind of a little bit of where our draft purpose and need is right now, who the stakeholders in the area are, and some of the next steps. Hopefully give you a little bit of background on the project. So, this was designated as a safety corridor back in 2006 as one of the first designated safety corridors in the state. And this project, I'll show you a map in a second, south of Bird all the way to the Rabbit Creek interchange. So it's about 20 miles of the Seward Highway. In 2013, there was a project to do 2 miles of that section right at Windy Corner. That's where you can see a lot of the sheep, and there's a pull out there and stuff. It was really focused on that. It became an environmental assessment project. In 2020, that project was actually extended to include Rainbow, the small community of Rainbow. So it was about a 4-mile section at that point. In 2022, it actually got extended. And in reality, this 20 miles has a lot of the same stakeholders, a lot of the same impacts. There's a lot of Chugach State Park, there's a lot of Turning an Arm, there's a lot of railroad, all the exact same stakeholders as that small 4-mile segment. So it really got lengthened, this 20 miles, which I'm personally excited about. It just makes a lot more sense. South of the project, south of Bird is a 4-lane section of highway, passing opportunities. It's been rebuilt somewhat recently. North of this corridor is the Seward Highway in town, where we have a very urban section, full 4-lane divided highway with interchanges. And so it really sort of makes sense to look at this entire section as a full corridor with all the same types of impacts and same kinds of issues. So I think logically it just makes a little more sense. So we just got kicked off in 2023, basically, to begin with the process. So go ahead to the next slide. So this gives you a little bit of that feedback there. You can see where Indian and Bird are. So south of Bird, right where that, if you're leaving town and you come down the hill there, right where that first passing lane begins, south of Bird, that's about the southern end of the project. And then the northern end of the project, 118, is right about the Rabbit Creek interchange. So it does include Potter Marsh, kind of on the north side. So we have a draft purpose and need put together at this point. It's really focused on 3 main things to address. Like I mentioned, it's a designated safety corridor. Fairly soon, it'll be the last designated safety corridor in the state. And so we want to improve that. There's a lot of high severity, fatality type crashes in the area. Another thing to look at, some roadway deficiencies. If you've driven that, there's some sections with short shoulders. There's some sections with really tight curves. Some of those kinds of things. There's some access points. And then the third one, congestion. If you've ever driven it in the summertime, especially, and you're following behind an RV, and there's not an opportunity to pass, I kind of think of it in 2 ways. And one is sometimes there's a lot of traffic on Fridays and Sundays, that kind of thing that really slows down the speed. Or somebody's pulling over to look at a beluga whale, that kind of congestion. And the other is, well, there's a lot of turning movements within the area. There's a lot of recreational access needs. McHugh Creek is a good example. All those turning movements cause a lot of that congestion within the corridor as well. So those are those main areas. Go ahead, please. Thank you. So you might not be able to see this, but this is a lot of the key stakeholders stakeholder working group and meeting monthly with these stakeholders to kind of make them part of the process as we develop alternatives and options for solutions. We really believe it's a working relationship, a conversation where they can come to the table with their needs and work towards a solution together. It's really a lot of competing interests, right? A lot of people are wanting to recreate in the area. There's a lot of people who want to get to the Kenai to go fishing. The railroad is right there on the water side the entire way. It's almost completely encased by Chugach State Park. So there's a lot of interest in that area, trying to balance all those needs. One of the better ways, I think, is with this stakeholder working group. Like I said, we're going to try to meet on a monthly basis. Go ahead. So, next steps, just back up for 1 second. We were at the transportation fair, kind of try to let people know what was going on there. We had 3 public meetings a couple weeks ago in Girdwood, 1 in Bird, and 1 at Golden View Middle School to try to let people know what's going on. We presented yesterday at the Freight Advisory Committee, and then so the next steps, we'll be sending out scoping letters real soon to all the agencies that oversee the resources within the area, and then, like I mentioned, the stakeholder working group will be kicking off, and we'll be trying to do these on a monthly basis. So. We do have a website that's fully up to date, the last thing I was going to mention, based on the public meeting, we have an online open house going on right now on the website, and initially here with these public meetings, we've been focused on getting comments, have kind of an April 20th timeline in there so we can get them all at one time and capture everybody's thoughts based on that, and so those things are going on. And I think, unless I missed anything, Shannon, I think that's all I've got to share.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, we appreciate you coming to us so early. It's really helpful.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, our next item on our agenda is 6C, AMAT Safety Forum.
That'll be Joni.
Okay.
I'm just gonna get the sitting down here. Oh yeah. Wait a. No. Okay. So I made a little handout, and I was actually a little confused as to what I was supposed to be presenting on today. So sorry about the confusion, but I just decided to give a broad safety update of all of our safety things that we're working on. So this handout kind of shows what's happened. Our biggest initiative right now, which is the safety plan that is happening, that we launched, it kicked off in January. And I just wanted to give a brief update on where that's at, and then talk to you about the second big thing that's happening, which is our BPAC Safety Forum in May. So first of all, our safety plan, which is AMAT's very first safety plan, we hired under contract Burgess and Nightfall along with R&M and Kenny Engineering to do the safety plan. That kicked off in January. We have done a bunch of major milestones for that project. Among them are, we have finalized the project management plan, we finalized the public outreach plan, we have an existing plan review and summary report, the project website, and the public survey. This big public survey that we're going to be releasing are actually almost ready, and we'll be releasing any day now. So hopefully either this week or next week. And then we also held our first stakeholder meeting on March 30th, and we had a really good turnout for that. So those events have happened already. Our next big thing that's happening is going to be in May, or as well as the launching of our website and survey. But in May, we have a BPAC Safety Forum that is scheduled. It's not actually part of this planning effort, but it's sort of happening in conjunction as another safety initiative that AMATS is hosting. And so the BPAC want to do a safety forum to address a lot of the safety issues that we have had this last few years, particularly with pedestrians and bicyclists. So that is going to be taking place Monday, May 22nd. It's going to be in the evening from 6 to 8 p.m. It's going to be totally virtual, so easy to attend. And the purpose of it will be to share information and generate some discussion around safety concerns for pedestrians and bicyclists. And the structure of it is going to be 2 hours of 1 hour of approximately of presentations, and then 1 hour, 45 minutes for discussion and Q&A. So BPAC will be presenting first, and we're also inviting Municipal Traffic Department, Municipal Maintenance and Operations, DOT, AMAT Safety Campaign Consultants, who are Center for Safe Alaskans, and our AMAT Safety Plan Consultants to present. So we haven't gotten confirmations from all of those folks yet, but if you're one of those entities, you will be hearing from me soon as I reach out to connect with you on this forum. So, and then, so that's a big event, and we're also going to be using that event to promote the upcoming big public meeting for our safety plan, which will be happening in September. So following that event. And then I just want to give a few more updates on the safety plan. So currently they are deep in data analysis. So looking at crash trends, equity and health, speed, impaired driving, intersections, and a lot of other data pieces to get that gathered together. We have a stakeholder committee meeting coming up in June, the second meeting. Again, the community workshop will be in September, and then our final committee meeting is going to be in October. And then you will see a draft plan for this effort in December. So we have a very short timeline for this plan. It's the first time we've ever done an entire plan in less than a year. So we're hoping to meet that deadline, but we'll see how it goes. And if you want more information on that, let us know, and we can certainly have the consultants come and present at a meeting earlier than December if you want. So just let us know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. Thank you, Jenny. Definitely very timely and helpful, so appreciate all the work you're doing. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, go ahead.
As part of the safety piece, Joni, is there going to be any talk about winter and the winter maintenance?
Winter maintenance? Yeah, for sure. That was a big, so we'll be presenting on that as far as the BPAC piece with their presentation. And then we'll also be presenting the results that we got from our last maintenance forum. And then I think Center for Safe Alaskans will also be presenting on some winter maintenance things that they found out. So, and it definitely is a big component of our safety plan. So I assume the consultants will be addressing that as well. And I think Chelsea, she's our newest planner, but she was asking me if we were going to have another maintenance forum this year. And so we hadn't scheduled one yet, but we could maybe potentially do one in the fall if folks are interested. So
There's definitely interest.
Okay.
That for sure.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Okay, thank you. Move to the next item. Item 6D, public input survey.
Be Christine Schutte.
Looking at the message. Yeah. Let's put that up. So we just, we told you about the public input website, and we just wanted to let you know our newsletter went out. Hopefully you saw that in your email box. If you haven't, let me know. In it at the bottom, we are kind of introducing this new public participation platform. There is a survey just to initially introduce it, ask people how they want to be contacted, how they would like us to contact them. So you can find a link to that survey within the newsletter, or you can text AMATS, just AMATS, to the number 73224, and we can put that in the chat as well. And you'll just get some initial information. It will get you into that system. And then moving forward, most of the outreach that you receive from us will be moving away from MailChimp and different entities with each plan. It'll all be kind of centralized in this one place. And you'll have a specific email for each project and a way to be text information and to compile comments, however we receive them from different platforms. So we just wanted to let you know that it's kind of being pushed out.
Okay, thank you, Christine. Are there any questions or comments? One question I have is the safety plan. Will the comments that are being made on that, is this ready to tie into this public outreach map?
Yes, the safety plan will be our first planning project that it's going to have its website within the public input space. And when they design their survey, it'll be within that. So it's, yes. The first one we're kind of folding into this new way of,
So like future MTPs will be able to
Yes.
draw from that so that public isn't having to make the same comment over and over necessarily.
yeah, and we can see where to expand outreach and what plans people are participating in, what to focus on.
That's good. Other questions or comments? Okay. Looks like that moves through that part of our agenda. Do I have the right, Steve? Okay, so thank you to all our presenters. Good information. Next on our agenda is item 7, general information. Anything for us, Aaron?
Well, you may mention it later, but as we all know, Mr. Van Hove is retiring. So, you know, for me as the coordinator and all my years before the coordinator working with Mr. Van Hove, I'm very sad to see you go, but also excited. You know, I know that you have plenty of golf teed up, ready to go, so you'll be enjoying warmer weather outside of Alaska. So I wish you all the best and want to thank you very much. It's been very enjoyable working with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You look like you're dressed for something
There you go.
other than what we have outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's very interesting experience. Okay, any other general items? Okay, it looks like let's move on to any committee comments. Go ahead, Brian.
My annual, we're getting ready to make all the people in Anchorage mad with gravel trains comments. They've already started, the short ones, the long ones are coming, and the passenger train shortly thereafter. So enjoy sitting around watching red lights, doing yellow things come on.
Uncertain routes anyway.
Uncertain.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Other committee comments? Go ahead, Luke.
Question, just on our agenda, we show the next TAC meeting on May 11th. There was some talk of pushing that back a week.
So it has been pushed back to May 18th. Just this agenda was posted before that change was made. So we don't go back and change things. So we just leave it as, but yes, the next technical advisory committee has been moved from May 11th to May 18th.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. And good catch there, Luke, so that those listening in know that we are meeting a week later than usual. It will only be 1 week before the policy committee, that didn't get pushed back.
The policy committee for May is staying as is.
And that's to accommodate some public involvement.
Yes, we had to extend the air quality conformity determination for tip amendment number 1. So to keep us on schedule, we had to do some shifting of meetings as to catch an error that was pointed out to me.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Aaron, for catching that, keeping us on track just in time so that we can push it back just a week. Yes. Okay, other committee comments? I guess a few comments that I have was welcome, Steve. It's great having you with Parks and Rec. And it's sad to see you go, Todd. It's been great having you as the vice chair. So thank you for all your work on that. A few exciting things from traffic are that today a RFI, request for information, just went public to do a protected bike lane pilot project in Anchorage this summer. So we're working with DOT research funds to stand up a demonstration project in Anchorage to look at protected bike lanes. So if anyone's interested, you can go look for that public notice. That is for consultants to reach out and provide any expertise that they might have to be able to work on that project. So that's an exciting opportunity that goes right in line with safety for non-motorized users and for the whole public, actually, for all the travel public. The Other related item is that the traffic department here at the city has rebranded our traffic calming position to be a traffic calming pedestrian bicycle coordinator position. And that one should be posting tomorrow or the next day. So if anyone is wanting to be involved on the pilot project and doing work in the pedestrian bicycle space and traffic calming, please keep an eye out for that position. We would love to have interested candidates, especially with the current famine that we have with trying to hire people. So it'd be great to have some applicants who are interested. And with the current snowfall that we have here in Anchorage right now, instead of May 1st being when studded tires are prohibited, the state and the municipality have actually changed the date where you can keep studded tires on, so that May 15th is the new date for having to get your studded tires off your vehicles. So this is quite the winter weather in the middle of April. So those are the items that I would like to share from my comments. Any other comments?
There's a question in the chat for you about where can we learn more about the bike safety project you mentioned, maybe the RFI or?
Yeah, so it is, I know it's posted on the state's website. I'm not sure how to get it. I will look it up. It looks like it's Cheryl. I will forward it to you, Cheryl. So you can see about that. Thanks for catching that, Melinda. Any other committee comments? Okay, now we move on to public comments. Are there any members of the public who would like to make a comment? Okay, seeing none in the room, seeing none online. Thank you again for being here. We appreciated getting to have all the presentations, information, and everyone's involvement. We are now adjourned at 3:28. You're right.